is Chapter 4, Nation's Storyteller. So the questions that I picked to answer are numbers 1, 2, and 3. And so number 1, lack, when the initial equilibrium or harmony state a character is harmonious state of a character is disrupted. So my example was Lion King, the movie. I know it's kind of old. So Simba's wicked uncle Scar plots to usurp Mufasa's throne by luring father and son into a stampede of wildebeest. But Simba escapes, and only Mufasa is killed. Simba, with the help of Timon and Pumbaa, returns as an adult to take back his homeland from Scar and restore Lack against the Pride Land. So that was my example of Lack. The tragedy happened. He was able to regroup and come back and get resolution. So I did also number 2. I used Chicago PD for the enigma, delay, and resolution. So in season 5, it was all about Sergeant Voight and his boss. I think his name was Danny Woods, and he was trying to catch Sergeant Voight because he knew that Sergeant Voight murdered a guy in cold blood, even though he was a police sergeant, because this particular drug dealer killed his son. And so the whole year, his boss, even though he was his boss, he was still trying to nail him. He's trying to get him for it. So ultimately, he got Voight's number 1 guy, who was actually with Voight, even though he didn't actually do the killing. And he put him in jail, and he was a police officer. So he thought that would be enough pressure to be put on Voight to get him to admit to the murders. And there was delay, because it was a whole season him trying to get this guy, right? And at the very end, this particular or Voight's boss, there was this anonymous witness that came up at the last second. So his boss went and talked to the lady. He wanted to know what she heard, and he told her she needed to modify her story a little bit. And this lady said, well, I need $20,000 because I don't have any money. So he paid her so that, she would alter her testimony. And ultimately, Voight kind of staged this with this lady. And at the very end, he got the resolution because he was able to frame his boss. So even though he committed that murder, he never admitted to it, but he got his boss on bribery. So it was there was this enigma, delay. The delay was the entire season, and the resolution came at the very end, the final episode of the year. And so the last question I did was the action code. And for this one, I used How to Get Away with Murder. So if you watch this show, after a certain amount of time, you're able to decode what people are saying. And if you kind of know the story, Annalise Keaton, she's an attorney, and she has all of these students, these law students, and they work on cases together. So they're always up to some mischief. There's always something. There's always somebody murdered, and you have to figure out, who did it. But the action code that I used was Annalise's verbiage. And typically when her law students get into trouble, she'll say something like, you got to tell me what's happening. I need to protect you. And I need to protect you is typically code for I'm going to do something really, really illegal, and I'm going to pin it on somebody else. And ultimately, we're going to go through a lot of stuff. We're going to hurt a lot of people, but I'm going to protect you, and you're going to be free. And at the end of those episodes, her students are typically really, really mad at her because of what she had to do to somebody else in order to get them exonerated. But that was always her justification for committing those acts, because she's like, hey, I'm trying to help you. I'm trying to protect you. It's always like, trying to protect you. So that was my action code. That was the decoding that you would do if you've watched this show enough times. And when you hear her say that, you kind of anticipate exactly what that means. Okay, that's all I got. Thank you.